Hello again guys, and welcome back to another Big Al Devlin video here at the House of Devlin, and this is a continuation of our bartitsu, how to fight bartitsu with Big Al series. Okay, now as I say, this is my interpretation of the martial art. You will hear different ways of fighting with it, but this is my application of the martial art to self-defense. Being a self-defense martial arts teacher, you know, I do have experience in this kind of thing as well. So I'm applying real life sort of knowledge alongside the martial art and just refining it and simplifying it, because the thing about being in a scary situation when someone's trying to mug you is that adrenaline. You get scared, you get nervous. Doesn't matter how many fights you may have been in, how many times you've been threatened, whether you're a seasoned veteran from the army or whatever, you'll understand if you are, you will always be that little bit nervous, okay? And the point of the matter is when you get nervous, you forget things. And so doing really technical moves, like using the crook, for example, to grab onto people, or aiming very specifically for the hand or something like that to disarm them with a knife, these are very hard to do moves. They're hard enough to do in the gym. With practice. And if obviously you've been doing it 15, 20 years, you probably, you might be able to make it work simply through muscle memory, you know, but mass majority of people don't have that time to invest into learning and developing their martial arts skills to that kind of degree and level. So I've simplified the martial art of bartitsu into something, as I said, that is highly functional as a self-defense tool. And as I say in the beginning of every video, this is a self-defense video. How to defend yourself as a vulnerable person who requires a walking stick for moving around safely against people who would seek to do you harm or take your possessions, such as muggers or anything along those lines, okay? So please use this only in self-defense, and always seek other means to avoid the fight. Verbally telling them to go away, trying to intimidate them, avoiding situations right from the beginning, i.e. don't go to dangerous areas, things like this. There are ways of trying to get out of fights, but if you find yourself cornered or you find yourself just simply being attacked, then there is no other option but self-defense, okay? And these videos, I hope, will help make you feel safer and help protect you from getting hurt from people who are trying to hurt you, okay? Remember, this is a walking aid, and it can be turned into a self-defense aid, which is what we're doing in these videos. But to your opponent, this is a weapon. So first and foremost, never let your opponent take your weapon, okay? We've talked about light strikes, we've talked about heavy strikes, we've hinted at certain other things that we can do also. For this third video, we're gonna it's not gonna be a very long video, guys, so I don't want to disappoint you on that, but there's only so much you can talk about regards thrusting attacks. Now, thrusting attack is what you would do typically with a knife when you're trying to stab someone, but this time you've got a stick. A stick is blunt, okay? It does not have an edge, okay? And if it did, it would be a spear, I suppose, a very small spear, and you would kill someone. So we don't want that, and it'd make it useless for a walking aid also. We want blunt ends, but it doesn't mean that we can't reinforce them with metal, for example, like I've done. And it doesn't mean that we can't use it still to do a reasonable amount of damage. But thrusting attacks are all about creating distance. So after you've done something like a light strike or maybe a heavy strike, say the opponent comes in, you would never really open with a thrusting strike. Now, why is this the case? You may think that a thrusting strike is more like, I have experience within fencing, okay? And with an épée or foil, you would, dance with your swords like this, and then you would lunge in like this. Never, ever do that with a walking stick, okay? First of all, it's heavy, it's clunky. This is not a refined weapon. I can't really move that point round quickly. I mean, I'll be able to move a foil about 3-4 times as quick as that, okay? And also, as well as that, a foil is sharp. If it was actually, if it didn't have the protection that it has at the front. But if you were walking around with a foil or an épée, it's very sharp. It's a sword designed to kill people with thrusting attacks. And so if you do that, bang, you just go bang, they're going to die, they're going to bleed out, okay? But this is a walking stick, as I say. Treat it as a walking stick that you are using as an improvised self-defense weapon, okay? It's blunt. So how do we hurt our opponents with it? Well, this is never going to end a fight. And as I say, thrusting attacks you should never ever use with a walking stick as an opening attack. You should always use a light or a heavy strike because they have greater range. And that's what you want to do. You want to create range between yourself and your opponent. A cane is longer than pretty much any weapon anyone will ever take on against you, unless they've got a gun, in which case, you know what, hand them your wallet, you're screwed, okay? But if they've got a knife, well, this is about probably, that's a lot longer than a knife, isn't it, you know? I mean, compared to most knives that most people carry on them in England, it's about 7 to 8 times the length. And it's certainly 2 to 3 times the length of a big knife, okay? So this is a long weapon with great reach, and we want to keep our opponent away from us, because if they do have a weapon, or if they're just using their fists, but if they do have a knife, that's a lot more dangerous than this. A knife can kill, this can't, not really, okay? You'd have to go, you know, like Planet of the Apes style, and keep hitting them when they're on the ground, this is not what this is about. This is self-defense. So we never open up with a thrusting attack. Okay, you see in a lot of martial arts books, you know, the thrusting attack being used like this. That's one-handed, okay? And as I'm going across, I can't really keep a strong grip because it's heavy at this end. It's weakening my grip. So all they have to do is hit it down and it's out of my hand, and I tried to hold on to that. Okay, and I didn't hit it anywhere near as hard as I have to. They only have to slap it down, which is what most people are going to do. And if they're really experienced, they'll grab it and pull it and then use a stick on you. Okay, so do not give them your weapon, as I said at the beginning of the video. However, thrusting attacks can be very useful. I have a sharp tooth grip on mine, so I can hold my cane like that. You don't need one of them, but it's nice to have them. And you hold the crook, and that's where your thrusting attack comes from. So if someone comes in, you just go bang, okay? Like that, and you say bang. It is a little bit of a lunge, but it's a lot shorter than a typical, you know, lunge within fencing, which would be like that or whatever. You're not opening yourself up, you're just going bang, and you can even stand still or even walk backwards. So as they come in, you can go bang whilst you're trying to create some distance, okay? And you're just trying to clip them. You don't really care where you hit them. A good place to push someone back is actually the shoulder. So if you catch them on the shoulder, as you get pushed in the shoulder, it actually kind of turns your body, throws you off balance. You might even put them on the ground just because you kind of tripped them over, so to speak. Okay, another place, yeah, the head, very good. But, and it's going to hurt them, but don't expect it to knock them out. Other places, as they come in, even though it's quite short distance, if you do go in, bang, low, like that, bang, you can hit the knee. I don't really advise that because you're opening your head to an attack. So always try and keep the thrusts high, unless it's an absolute necessity that you go for the leg. But the leg is quite small. We want to go for big things, so we're aiming for the torso primarily. The torso is very easy to hit. The head can move out of the way some degrees on the neck, so it can move around, okay, and get out of the way. It's also protected by the arms. The legs, again, they can move very quickly, okay, if they want to step back like this and all the rest of it. The body, still, can't move it. It can rotate like this, they can kind of go back, but then they're sticking up their belly more, or they go forwards to take the belly away, they're exposing their face. Torso can't get out of the way as quickly as the other parts of the body. And so that's why I say you tend to aim for the shoulders or the torso. Now, the only problem with this is you kind of, as you're hitting them here, they do get a chance to grab your weapon. So you must be very quick on the return. Okay, you must be quick on the return because the actual hit's going to shock them. So they're not going to reflexes are not going to really help them too much because they're going to be in shock. But then they might, once they've recovered from the pain, try to grab it. But if you've already pulled it away, it doesn't matter. And if they do, they're not going to beat you in this kind of grip. If you lock your hand around there and hand around there, and all they've got is this, they're not going to do it. And if they do, well then, if they're trying to do it, as they're pulling, you can still thrust into them okay? And that might be a good place then to go into the knee to try and hurt them, or towards the groin area. And you can even kind of then go into grappling, which is what I'm going to do in the fourth video. So regard thrusting, it's mostly a defense technique for when they get close. You're keeping a distance, okay? So I make a strike, it hits them, they start to step in. So as a result, I step back into a thrusting position. They still come in, and then they go away. I'm back into light strike or heavy strike attacks, okay? So it's literally just to get them away and keep a distance. So that's really all that can be said about thrusting strikes, in my opinion. There are, I'll say, books and articles on the internet and stuff like that that can tell you that you can do a lot more with thrusts. With a cane, don't listen to them. Keep it short and sweet. Fast attack it in, fast out, and always two-handed, okay? Because you do not want to give this up and arm your opponent, okay? Other than that, guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope this gave you a little bit more insight again on the other things that you can use your cane for in regards to self-defense. Next video will be grappling, and I'll be filming that a little bit later. I can't film it today because I'm running out of time, got to go to work. But thank you very much for watching.